Hi everybody, I am Parna again with you all with a new topic. So friends, today I am going to discuss about a list of bones in the human body with level diagrams. The bones provide a structural framework and protection to the soft organs. They also provide for the attachment of muscles and help us move around. The number of bones in the human body at birth is 300. However, as a child grows, some of the bones fuse together. The result is that there are 206 bones in the body of an adult human being. This difference in the number of bones helps forensic anthropologists in determining the age of an individual through the skeletal remains, mainly the skull. The various bones from the skeletal system and the main function of the skeletal system is to provide a framework for the human body and protect the delicate organs. List of bones in the human body. The human skull or cranium is made of 8 bones in all. It houses the brain and forms a hard protective covering around this master organ. Bones at a glance. Frontal 1, parietal 2, temporal 2, occipital 1, spinoid 1, ethmoid 1. Total number of bones equals to 8. Frontal bone. This bone forms the forehead, the roof of the orbital cavity, eye socket and the root of the nose. A newborn has a frontal bone that consists of 2 parts separated by the frontal suture. However, the parts fuse to form a single bone by the time a child is 8 years old. Parietal bones. One bone from each side joins behind the frontal bone to form the sides and the roof of the cranium. There are 2 parietal bones and each bone is roughly quadrilateral in shape. Temporal bones. There are 2 temporal bones in all, one on each side. Below the parietal bones, the temporal bones are located lateral to the temporal lobes of the brain and each bone consists of 5 parts. Occipital bone. This is a single bone that is present at the back and lower part of the cranium just behind the parietal and temporal bones. It has an oval aperture known as the foramen magnum through which the spinal cord enters the skull. Vertebral arteries, spinal nerves and ligaments that join the skull to the vertebra passes through the aperture. Spinoid bone. This is a single bone that is situated at the base of the skull in front of the temporal bones and basilar part of the occipital bone. Its shape resembles that of a butterfly and it is one of the 7 bones from the orbital cavity or eye socket. Ethmoid bone. This is the light and spongy bone that is situated in the anterior part of the base of cranium. It lies between the 2 orbits at the roof of the nasal cavity, separating the bone from the nasal cavity. It is one of the 7 bones that form the orbital cavity and consist of 3 parts. Facial bones at a glance. Mandible 1, Maxilla 2, Palatine Bone 2, Zygomatic Bone 2, Nasal Bone 2, Lacrimal Bone 2, Inferior Nasal Conch 2, Vomer 1. Total number of bones equals to 14. Mandible. This is the lower jawbone and is known as the inferior maxillary bone. It is U-shaped and is the largest and strongest bone of the face. The mandible of the new bone consists of 2 halves that fuse at the mental symphysis during the first year. Each half of the mandible has a horizontal body and vertical ramus at the posterior end of the body. The part of the mandible that bears teeth is known as the alveolar process. Maxilla. The maxilla or the upper jawbone holds the teeth of the upper jaws and forms the wall of the orbital cavity. It also contributes to the roof of the oral cavity and the lateral walls and floor of the nasal cavity. The mandible is actually 2 bones that are fused along the palatal fissure. Failure of fusion of the 2 bones before birth can lead to a congenital deformities such as cleft plate, palathosis and cleft lip scoliosis. Palatine bone. The palatine is an L-shaped bone that is situated between the maxilla and the pterygoid process of the sphenoid. It is located behind the nasal cavity and hence contribute to its floor and the lateral walls. Beside the nasal cavity is also contribute to the roof of the mouth as well as to the floor of the orbit. Zygomatic bone. The zygomatic bone is also known as the cheekbone or malar bone. There are 2 such bones on one side each of the face from the prominence of the cheek. It is one of the many bones that forms the walls of the orbital cavity. Nasal bone. The nasal bones are 2 in number and together from the bridge of the nose. These are 2 oblique bones and their size varies in different individuals. Lacrimal bone. The lacrimal bone is the smallest bone of the face and there are 2 such bones, each one forming a part of median wall of the orbital cavity. Each lacrimal bone articulates with the frontal bone, the ethmoid bone, the maxilla and the inferior nasal conchae. Inferior nasal conchae. These are paired bones of the face that arises from the maxillary bone and continue horizontally along the lateral wall of the nasal cavity. Located above these bones are the middle nasal conchae and the superior nasal conchae, which arise from the cranial region. Vomer. It is a thin, flat, shine, signal bone that lies along the mid-sagittal line. It articulates with 6 bones: the ethmoid, the spinoid, the 2 plated bones and the 2 maxillary bones. Middle ear is the region between the eardrum and the cochlea. In all mammals, including humans, the middle ear has 3 bones that are known as the auditory ossicles. These are very small bones and their function is to transmit sound vibration from the eardrum to the inner ear. Bones at a glance: Malleus 2, Incus 2, Stapes 2. Total number of bones equals to 6. Malleus, hammer. The malleus is a small hammer-shaped bone that is attached to the eardrum at one end and to the incus at the other. Its function is to transmit sound vibration from the eardrum to the incus. The malleus is only found in mammals. Incus anvil. The incus is an anvil-shaped bone that connects the malleus to the stapes. Its function is to transmit sound vibration from the malleus to the stapes. Stapes, stirrup. The stapes is a stirrup-shaped small bone that is attached to the incus at one end and to the fenestra ovalis or the oval window on the other. The oval window is nothing but an opening to the inner ear and it is covered with a membrane. The function of the stapes is to transmit sound vibration from the incus to labyrinth of the inner ear. It is smallest bone in the human body. Bones of the shoulder girdle. The shoulder is made of 2 bones that together allow the attachment of the arm to the body. The bones of the shoulder are given below. Bones at a glance: scapula 2, clavicle 2. Total number of bones equals to 4. Scapula. The scapula is the flat triangular bone that forms the posterior part of the shoulder girdle. It connects the humerus upper arm with the clavicle. It is commonly